Welcome to Get Your Mind Right, Boots on the Ground, where we spotlight professionals in the field who have overcome challenges and how they work through them. Their stories offer real-world insights and tips for thriving in today's competitive landscape.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Get Your Mind Right, the world's only podcast that's dedicated to digital marketing and merchant services professionals. Now, I've got a very special guest here today, Miss Bree Miracle.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Bree.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for being on here. For you folks, if you don't know Bree, she's a highly decorated digital sales professional, has been extremely successful in this field. And Bree, once again, I appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, let me tell you why you're here today. I took the liberty of putting some notes on this, and I saw you give a presentation a few months ago on getting your mind right. What a coincidence on how you approach your merchants on digital.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'd like to talk to you about today.
Okay, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is Bree, like if you're talking to a let's say, well, I don't know, we'll give it the way you want. Let's say they're a brand new salesperson, or in our instance, we have a lot of people in our franchise that have a ton of merchant experience, but not necessarily a lot of digital.
Right.
What kind of advice do you give these people on where they might start?
Well, first is just educating yourself a little bit on digital. And that's nothing too detailed. It's Googling your merchant and looking how they rank. So if it's an auto shop, I'm going to search auto shop near whatever city they're in. If they're not showing up in the top 5, give them a call. Say, we have a solution that may increase business for you. Or are you looking to get more of XYZ job? If I was that person that had a large book of merchant business, I would reach out and I would call the people that I'm already doing business with you. They already like you. They already trust you. And it's no secret that whenever they make money, you make money. So why wouldn't you offer them a solution?
Right.
To not inevitably increase their business overall.
So you're saying that, first of all, just start working your existing book on this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. What's your next step beyond that? Let's say that again, I'm brand new, or I just don't have a big book. What are you going to do then?
Next step would be looking at your local market. So whenever I first started, I was a sales assistant, just making cold calls. That's all I did.
Okay.
So the most ideal that I did was I took a rep and I took the general area that they were in, and I would just call and say, hey, we have XYZ rep, they're local. We're running a free digital audit report for all local businesses. I would love to stop by and run it with you. It takes around 15 minutes. Just shows you areas of opportunity to increase business. That's the second step.
Excellent. Now, when you were doing cold calling, or even now, I know you do a lot of prospecting now. Are you looking for, is it more geographic? Is it segments? Are they verticals? What is it that is your ideal target?
Ideal target, I really like automotive. I love contractors. Anything with big ticket items, I find to respond the most to just a digital conversation, because they can put a tangible dollar amount to it. But if you are somebody who they like legal or B2B, if you're wanting to cold call specifically, pick a vertical per day. That way you're not getting mixed up with vernacular.
Gotcha. So, I know that you had, I believe you start off with the legal vertical, right?
I did.
Yeah. So tell me what that process looks like when you learn a vertical. I mean, because you didn't know anything about legal when you started on that, right?
No.
And you're calling up attorneys of all things. Yeah, I bet that was pretty.
Yeah. So I just did a little bit of research. First, I'm reading their website. So I'm trying to educate myself as I'm calling. That way I can say, oh, well, we'll help you increase business with getting more, I don't know, estate planning or something like that. So I'm taking little bits and pieces from their website and writing it down in my pitch.
Okay.
I'm trying to not write like a script, if you will, but more bullet points.
Right. So talk to me more about that. What I feel is very, very important the sales reps do is you got to have some sort of hook. Like you have to give someone a compelling reason for set a meeting with you. So let's take this, for example, you just mentioned estate attorneys. What might be your hook on that?
Okay. A would be whenever somebody is searching for estate planning, you show up over your competitors. And B would be, okay, maybe you're a large business, but you have way too much time on your hand, or no, not enough time on your hands, and you're getting these phone calls that aren't return on investment generative, if you will. We have a plan in place on our side that I can push you only high return on investment jobs. So one or the other.
Gotcha. So in the case of an attorney, like often that y'all see a 2 or 3 or 4 partner law firm, they may have 2 or 3 areas of expertise.
Right.
So if they're, for example, I know like there's a lot of, in our particular book, we have a lot of workman's comp attorneys in there. And I don't know why, I just know that we do. Right.
Yeah.
So your approach is going to be, hey, what's it mean you get more of these cases?
Correct. Yeah. If I can pull that information out and say, like, I see that you have estate planning, but then also injury law.
Okay.
Over time, I've noticed that injury law, everybody wants those. There's a lot of high dollar. If I can say, well, if we can get you 2 or 3 more injury cases throughout the year, would that be worth a conversation to you?
Okay.
And then that normally generates a conversation.
So tell me again how that ties into where someone ranks on Google, or how it ties in.
Yeah. So if somebody is searching, they're in a panic, right? Maybe they just got hit by, a car or something like that.
Yeah.
Their mind is not logical. So they're going to Google attorney near me super, super quick. If you're not in that top 1 to 3 spots, you're probably not getting that conversation and you're losing that money.
Okay. You find like that. So obviously this applies to every industry.
Everything,
you go after,
yeah.
Right? How do you feel like that resonates with potential clients?
I would hope if I'm telling them if they're not in the top 5, they're missing business, it kind of triggers something to be like, oh, well, how do we fix this?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk.
I heard someone else say one time, and they were you're talking about SEO here, of course, is that they were saying, well, these people that are above you on Google, do you think they're getting calls and you're not? And it's funny because I've heard clients say, well, I don't really know. And then I also heard the same person say, well, think about you. When you're out shopping for something, do you call the ones near the top, or you go down the page?
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes business owners, they're thinking about a business owner, but they don't see themselves as a consumer. They see that as really divorced as a consumer of their activities from being a business owner, right? Yep. So that seems really, really effective.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, let's move on here, because you also talked about, like, now that you've identified, how you're going to reach these people, work in your book, what your talk tracks are going to be. You also talked about setting yourself up for success.
Yes.
So tell me what that means.
So while I'm making a phone call, you have to be educated in the slightest, just a little bit, whenever you're having that conversation with someone, because you don't want to say, oh, I didn't find your website online, when in fact they're highly relevant. So that automatically discredits you. So while most of the time while I'm ringing is I'll do like auto repair near me, I'll see where they're located on the list, the map listings, if you will. It's the very first thing that pops up. If I'm not finding them, I'll do a quick Google search of their business name. I'm looking at their website, and then I'm also looking at their Google My Business page. Why I'm looking at their Google My Business page is I want to talk to them about reviews, because that's that icebreaker is what I use. Just do you have a strategy, things like that. And then I'm looking at their website just to see if it's secure and is there any areas of opportunity.
Well, what do you mean by secure?
Secure, at the very top at the browser, you'll see a big red button really that says not secure. What that means in Google's eyes is you're not a trusted source. So I don't care how good your SEO is, they're going to push you down on rankings. Another thing is if it's e-commerce, so products online, checkout processes, even your dentist office where you're uploading files, someone could potentially go in there and steal that information. Okay.
I heard some things that Google's going to start knocking these folks down who don't have secured websites.
Absolutely.
What's that look like?
So inevitably, like I said, it doesn't really matter how good your SEO game is, but if your website is not secure, they're pushing that down.
Oh, okay.
So Google, Yelp, Bing, they're all fighting to be a top customer service representative. Yes. Would you recommend a business to someone that like the roof may fall down on you if you walk in the door? No.
Probably not.
No. Same thing in Google's eyes, but of course more dramatic. On top of that, they're also taking down websites completely.
Okay. Okay. So that you didn't cover this in your presentation. So you personally, when you're enrolling a new client, how many of those merchants are you setting up with both the listing, the SEO service, and a website?
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
quite always require a listings tool.
Can't really have one without the other and be totally effective.
If you tell me, Bree, I want to increase business, or I want to see an increase in XYZ vertical within my business, it's required. It's in the package. You don't even really know that it's loaded into the price because I'll bundle it.
I know too. I had a couple of notes here that you look for things that are missing, like scheduling tools, e-com, and ADA compliance.
Yep.
Tell me about those.
So if they are a retail store, spa that maybe they sell products, why aren't they e-commerce? Most of the time they'll tell you they just don't have the technology to make their website e-commerce. So that's where we come in, we'll offload it. Or they'll tell you, I've tried, it takes too much time. I just don't have really the time or the team to do it or the time to manage it. That's where we can offload that, which they love to hear that. Scheduling tools. So think of your automotive shops, your hair salons, your nail salons, anything that has a customer service base to it. Are you more likely to schedule an online appointment, or do you want to pick up the phone?
Oh, I want to do an online appointment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I have a 6-year-old. Most of the time I make my oil change appointments because I have to at 9:00 at night, because that's the only time, most of us work till 5-6 o'clock at night. We have children, we have families. The downtime is between, 9 and 10 o'clock at night. So I would rather schedule my appointments out. That way I can plan my days in advance than having to wait between 8 and 5, take my lunch, make sure I remember to call. It's a whole process. You're just making it so much easier. And then ADA compliance is something very new. It's the American Disabilities Act. Right now, it is illegal to not have a website without ADA compliance in California, Texas, Pennsylvania, Florida. It's soon to be across the entire United States. Essentially, it's just ensuring that every single person with any kind of disability has access to your website and the ability to use your website. I've gotten website contracts just because I knew what ADA compliance was, because there's businesses that are being sued from anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Oh, and then there's people out there chasing this as well.
Oh yeah, there's whole law firms that will just go after that.
Okay. So has that changed your prospecting and your targeting in any way?
It has, especially if I'm talking to people in California. Like I said,
they're keenly aware of it.
Yes. And I have signed contracts for websites just based upon that feature. We didn't talk about SEO. We didn't talk about scheduling. They just wanted to move over to us because we knew what it was.
Be compliant. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, Bree, that's all the time we have for today. I really appreciate you coming in. We just scratched the surface. There's a lot to talk about here. Can I get you to come back again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys next time on Get Your Mind Right.